Good evening, everyone. We're going to open the Inlands, Wetlands, and Watercourse Commission for the town of Trumbull, Connecticut. It's a special meeting for January 26, 2026. I'm going to ask the clerk to do a roll call if she would.
Richard Gerard,
Present.
John Loria,
Present.
Carmine DeFeo,
Present.
Rich Deacon,
Deacon, you here? You're
Rich, you're
muted.
muted.
Present.
David Verespi,
Present.
Greg Cernica,
Present.
Bob Frigno,
Present.
town staff Tatiana Solove,
Here.
John Mayer,
Here.
Attorney Cordone.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. All right, I will now go to our town attorney who will give us the legal aspects of conducting a Zoom meeting, if you would, Counselor.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, thank you. As has been the practice of this commission, we're conducting our meeting under Connecticut law remotely, via the internet and or by telephone. This is a continuation of a public hearing. This is the third continuation or second continuation, third meeting of the public hearing on the applications pending before this commission. That is the only item on the agenda tonight. The agenda was posted 24 hours in advance of the meeting. And when there's an opportunity for public comment, you may raise your hand electronically or hit *9 on the phone. We will review that once again when we get to that point of the meeting. I would ask commissioners to please be identified or recognized by the chair prior to speaking. And I'd like to remind everyone that tonight's meeting is being recorded. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. And just a reminder, when we have something up on the screen, we've got to kind of be clear when you, ask to be recognized, because I don't see everybody. I do it strictly by listening for the voice. All right, so we are going to open application or go to application 24-25, 15 Plumtree LLC. It's a permit approval to construct a 3-story apartment building and 9 attached townhouses, a retaining wall, subsurface stormwater detention system, level spreader, sidewalks, and storm drainage within a regulated area at 5 and 15 Plumtree Lane. I see the engineer for the applicant on. Okay, I see their attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just let into the meeting. So when we for the record, I'm
Excuse
attorney.
me, Counselor. I know you're new to this, but you have to give your name and firm and all that.
Yeah, that's what I
We
was.
try to help the newbies where we can.
I was just trying to get that out. I'm attorney Stephen Bellis. I'm an attorney with the Pellegrino Law Firm. The law firm's in 475 Whitney Avenue in New Haven, Connecticut.
Thank you.
And I'm a Shelton resident. When we left off, Mr. Chair, we had presented what I call an alternative plan that we believe was a feasible and prudent alternative to the apartment building. And that plan entailed condominium townhouses as opposed to the apartment building. And as you may recall, we had one building now which comprises of 4 townhouses in Trumbull, and then another unit and a half, I'll call it a unit and a half, that's also on the Trumbull side. So there would be 5.5 units that would be in the Trumbull jurisdiction. Obviously all of the wetlands and the Mill River is all in Easton, but we have maintained that your commission has jurisdiction to review the activity of the construction activity of the townhouses that are in Trumbull. So having said that, what I would like to do tonight, with your permission, is to have Jason Edwards go over some of the uh, particulars of the alternative plan. Then I would have Mike Lambert go over the storm drainage, and then Matt Pop can tell you about the landscaping and his views on the impact to the wetlands. So if I can turn it over, Mr. Chair, to Jason Edwards. Oh, and then I would like to come back and summarize at the end, with your permission.
Through the chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, David.
For the last meeting, we were emailed these plans from Colleen. Those went directly to the commissioners. We never received paper copies of those plans. These alternative plans are not available on the town website from attached to either of the agendas. How is the public supposed to be reviewing these plans in advance of these meetings?
I don't know if you're asking me or through the chairman. Do I?
I'm
I was
asking-
asking you, Counselor.
Oh, okay. So what I do is, when we have plans, I email them to Tatiana. I don't have the ability to upload them to your webpage.
Are you aware that the plans didn't get sent until like 4:50 today?
Well, these were I was aware, I think we did present at I think our last meeting was January 13th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking at my calendar.
Right. Were those plans provided as paper copies to be held in the office?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
It's Jason Edwards. I am 90% sure that yes, we did provide paper copies of those plans to Colleen, or I believe her name is, at the office.
Are
Yeah, I'm
we
just-
talking the plans that were supposed to come from the January 13th meeting?
We had response documents and plans that were provided ahead of that meeting, and then I believe we also had more copies that we gave after that meeting. That was the alternate plans. And I'd have to verify to be 100% certain, but that was what I intended to have happen, was to have all that stuff printed and delivered.
Okay, Colleen,
Directly after.
Colleen, have you received any plans since the last meeting of January 13th, other than the notification today at 4:50, and I think you said 5 something, that plans were sent? Can you give us your thought on that?
I do not believe we received hard copies, only the electronic.
My
Only the
concern
what?
is that, if the previous versions are not available on the town website through the agenda links, the public has not had a chance to review those plans, other than what was presented on the hearing. Nobody can go onto the website and look at those plans, and we're not sure if hard copies were provided, but assuming they were, so that would be the only way people could look at it. I'm trying to find out has the public had reasonable access to the plans?
Okay, David, there were no paper copies. As if there were, I would have gotten them, because I talked to Tatiana and Colleen all the time. So as far as I
Nothing for
know,
today's
nothing
submission,
was.
Mr. Cordon, does this present a problem?
Wait, let me ask you something. How did you submit today if town hall was closed?
That's to me. I was speaking of the previous rendition of the plans, not the current version we're presenting tonight. Has revisions since then. Those paper copies have not been submitted anywhere. Those were just finished today and submitted to you electronically only. So.
Okay, because I think the point that Commissioner Foresby is trying to make is, when we left the January 13th meeting, you agreed that we would receive the various plans and things that we needed before the meeting, so we could, kind of read them, see them, and be prepared. Right now, we're going to see what you're presenting for the first time tonight, along with the public. So,
Yeah, I
are you
agree with our
satisfied
intention.
with that, Commissioner Foresby? Are you okay, or any other comment?
Well, I'm concerned that even the plans from the previous meeting have not been made available to the public for them to even sort of see where this thing is going. And
Well, I think the previous meeting they were delivered. If I'm wrong about that, then my client Steve Shapiro was the one who was
but if
visiting
you're
my
if you're a
office and
member of the
delivering it.
public and you're downloading the agenda and looking at the things that are on the
As far
meeting,
as that's not, yeah.
these don't exist in that record.
The ones that I have today, no, they probably don't.
And the ones from the previous meeting were emailed directly to the commissioners and they were not part of the public record.
That I don't know. We sent them to Tatiana and staff at that point. So
Well, the agendas go out, and if you're submitting them at 10:05, they're not going to make it on the agenda for that night. It doesn't give the public reasonable time to review the documents. I'm wondering if this is an issue. I have an issue with it.
Tatiana, did you have a comment? Because I know we're going to hear from the public on it, so.
Yeah, I mean, we typically have a 2-week deadline for all documents to be submitted. Obviously, with this particular application, that has not been honored at all. And if we received something today when the town hall is closed, it was impossible for the staff to publish anything online. Plus, we have to post it 24 hours in advance. We should have gotten it on Friday, but I guess the question is, where do we go from here? So the documents that were sent to us tonight, I'm sure we can post them online after the fact. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Yes, so Commissioner Verespi, thank you for making your point of concern. The closing of town hall is not really relevant to the documents because they were received just around 5 o'clock tonight. So those are going to be presented tonight for the first time. And so I think at this point we should let the applicant proceed with that presentation. The public can make comment and review at the time, but Commissioner Verespi, your point is noted.
Thank you. It's unfortunate the public has not had reasonable access to the plans.
Yep. I agree. Attorney Bellis, who did you want to go to, Jason or to Michael?
I would go
The
to
presentation.
I would go to Jason first, and then I'll go to
All right.
Michael. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
for the record, Jason Edwards, J. Edwards Associates Engineers Surveyors, located at 227 Stepney Road in Easton. Can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Everyone see the plan set here? Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. So this is just the cover sheet. We've seen that before. Everybody knows, I think, where we are. It's the corner of Plum Tree Lane, South Park Avenue, straddles the town line right here. This was the tree plan that we presented at the last meeting, just showing the different trees to be removed in different colors based on whether they're in upland review or not upland review. Everything below that purple line would remain. That purple line actually has changed. That's the limited disturbance. It's come up the hill some since the last version of this demolition plan. Again, that the hay bale line, excuse me, has moved slightly up the hill, but you'll be able to see that better on this next sheet here. So the revised townhouse layout, we've got the same number of units, but we did one change since the last version you saw. We flopped the building back so that it isn't the entire building is now out of the upland review area. The red line is the upland review area. We have a driveway that comes in lower and comes below and then circles back up and through. This lowers the site grading. It keeps us all down at the lower level, closer to the grade at the intersection of South Park and Plumtree. So previously we had the buildings back against the wall here, and we pulled them this way. So you now have no buildings proposed in the regulated upland review area in Trumbull. We've also pulled the retaining wall back about 10 feet in this area in Trumbull. So we've reduced the activity significantly along that backside. I'll come back to this. This is the stormwater plan that Mike put together. But one key point here to note is that there's now a rain garden we're proposing here off the left side of the driveway to provide treatment to this would be treatment for only the storm runoff that is currently passing through the site from the town of Trumbull's drainage system. So we would be picking that up, putting it down through this piping to a rain garden for treatment, and then back out and back to the river. So it would be considerable improvement over what is there now, which is the essentially the drainage ditch with some erosion and no treatment. This is the erosion control plan, which really hasn't changed a whole lot. And this was requested at the last meeting, was a comparison plan, is what I've called it, just to show, excuse me, the outline of the original apartment building, which is in blue. You can kind of see there where it was relative to what is proposed. Sorry, what is proposed now, which is the smaller buildings, everything pulled farther up the hill. I do have one here that shows schematic plan. Oh, I thought I had a better one with this is the other one. Okay. The LOD, you can see here, the purple is the new limited disturbance line, and then it blends back together with the red here. But the red was what our previous limited disturbance line was with the retaining wall and level spreader on that side of the site. Since we've shifted everything over here, we have less impact on the longer run of the riverfront on this side to the north. I think that was all I really wanted to touch on. I'll pass it off, I guess, to Mike to run through the stormwater plan with you, unless there's any questions specifically.
Jason, quick question for you.
Mhm.
On the properties that are in Easton, between the wall and the foundation, what is the distance? Because we couldn't ever scale. I see you've sort of taken that issue away for Trumbull, so there's quite a bit of distance.
1 second here. Let me just stop that. I'll measure it for you. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it was asked by a couple last time.
Yeah, it was.
We didn't have a scaled meeting or a scaled plan, so.
It's about 12 feet behind the buildings.
All right,
12 to
thank
15,
you.
depending on where you are.
All right. So you're good? You're going to Michael now?
Yes, I think so. Yep.
All right.
I can stop sharing now.
Yes, thank you. For the record, Michael Lambert, professional engineer with Lambert Civil Design, 34 Misty Lane, Monroe. So this is the updated grading and drainage plan. As Jason had mentioned, we're now taking the drainage system off of Plumtree Lane, collecting it how we had done before. We had 2 area drains at the rear of the existing house, just low points with the new walls, routing it to the south off of Plumtree Lane on our property. It's outside of the town's right away. And then we have a small water quality basin, rain garden that we're proposing there. That's going to provide some treatment to the town's drainage system. I know this was previously requested a few meetings ago, and with the original layout, we didn't really have the space for it. Now we do have some space to accommodate for that. Then the drainage will get picked up again, piped through our site and off to the west into a preformed scour hole and a level spreader to help discharge the runoff down gradient towards the wetlands and towards the Mill River, avoiding that point discharge that's currently out there. Having that level spreader is going to help alleviate and spread out that discharge that's going down gradient. We also moved the level spreader about 20 feet off the property line. That was a comment from Tatiana last meeting, so we've been able to shift that. But for our drainage on site, we are still doing that offline system where it's a manhole to manhole connection. All the catch basins are going to have the 4-foot sumps and hooded outlets. So starting up on the north end, being able to collect into the various catch basins throughout the site, piped into manholes, and then when we get into our underground system, we do have a water quality structure before it goes into the system. That water quality structure is also offline, so any of the higher level storm events will bypass that, go into the system, underground system. For the overall site, before I believe we had mentioned about 7% decrease from the apartment building site plans that we had shown you guys. We're actually at a 5.3% decrease now, just from moving the driveway to the southern side, entering here. It would just worked out better grading wise. And I'll touch base that in a few minutes. But for the underground system, we've got 3 rows in the parking lot up here, 1 row behind the buildings, between the walls or the retaining wall and the buildings. They are going to be interconnected so the water can flow back and forth as needed. They're all at the same elevation. So they'll all be able to internally collect. And then we have a outlet control structure that's going to help regulate those flows going out of that system into a manhole and then downgrading it to its own flared end section, preformed scour hole, and a level spreader kind of adjacent to where the town's drainage system will be discharging into. We wanted to keep those separate, but they are very close to one another and they kind of work off one another. The underground systems themselves, they've got about between a 1.5 to 3 foot cover over on top of them. They are the concrete galleys that we were proposing before, so they are H20 loaded. They can allow vehicles to travel on top of them and not crush them or do any damage to those structures. We do have the detail sheets. We are going to have a series of manholes kind of spread out throughout that system. So there is a possibility of easily checking those, seeing what sediment may be left behind in them, what may have to get vacuumed out over the lifetime of this system. But they all have manholes that are going to be brought up to grade, so it's easily accessible by the maintenance for this development. Going back to this.
Quick question while I'm thinking of it.
Yes.
Are all of these townhouses slab? And you come in, you'll drive in with your vehicle. There's no sub-basement, anything under?
Yes, that's correct. Jason Edwards, that's my understanding of it, yes.
All right, and then while I'm thinking of it, let's say this was all built and we had this wonderful snowstorm today. You know where I'm going. Where did you propose putting snow?
So we do
That was
have
asked at the last meeting too.
Yeah. So with kind of this layout, we do have a lot more space on this side of the building. On the south side, we do have some area in the back of this building. We've got an area that we're kind of flattening out behind some of the visitor parking in this area. And then we do have the turnaround area in this back is oversized. So we do have some area to accommodate snow storage in those areas.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Getting back into the storm drainage, the systems, as I said, it has about 1.5 to 3 feet of cover over the top of them. They are going to be installed just below subgrade or existing grade right now. So we do have multiple borings, test pits that were done in the areas of these systems that do comply with the Connecticut Stormwater Manual. Since that last meeting, I've also gone out and done permeability tests on the site, with the slowest one being a 1.73 inch per hour exfiltration rate. So that does is pretty typical with the B soils that we are seeing from the NRCS mapping and the test pits and borings of the sand to gravity material. So this system is going to be designed to exfiltrate and be able to accommodate our systems. The storm drainage system for this is similar to the apartment complex where it is sized to be a self-contained water quality volume and the 2-year storm event. The water quality is a requirement by the 2024 Connecticut Stormwater Manual, and then the 2-year storm is a recommendation by the DEP for cold water streams to help any of that thermal impacts that has been talked about before. So being able to self-contain those, being able to infiltrate those into the subsoils is going to be a benefit to the Mill River and meets all the requirements kind of set forth by DEP and the Connecticut Stormwater Manual. But to summarize, the storm drainage design for both the on-site and taken in the off-site drainage, we've been able to use our best engineering practices and the best management practices that are outlined on the various manuals. And then our on-site system does meet the MS4 requirements, the 2024 Connecticut stormwater requirements, the DEP requirements for cold water streams, and the town of Trumbull stormwater requirements. For the grading of the site, we do kind of create this low point near our detention system, slope up to the north end, and then slope up to the Plumtree Lane. With doing these changes, I know there's the issues or the comments about the height of the wall. Down at the southern end here, it's about a 10 to 12 foot wall that we still have here. We do slope down to about a 8-foot wall, back up to a 12-foot, and then up here we do drop down to a 5-foot wall, and then the north end here is down to a 7-foot wall. So it's a significant decrease in wall height from what was previously proposed. But that would conclude my presentation for the storm drainage and drainage. I can turn this over to Matt Pop now.
Good evening, Matthew Pop, landscape architect. I think Jason's going to be putting up my revised landscape plan, professional wetland scientist also. I've revised the landscape plan based on the revised site plan. Just want to make sure if Jason's.
Yep, I'm getting there. One second.
Okay.
There we go. You guys see that?
Yes.
Okay.
So Jason, if you could zoom in on that bottom left side, that'd be great. Keep going. All right, that's good. There's a faint red line, which was the former former retaining wall. It's just to the top of, just up from the existing wall that's shown on in there, the proposed wall shown now. That right there, Jason's highlighting it. So that was the former wall location. We shifted that wall about 9 feet further away from the wetland area. So we got quite a bit, a larger buffer there. You can see on this plan where the existing house is located. Right there. So our buildings are actually further than the existing house. And then lastly, I'd like to point out on existing conditions, there's an existing fence line, which is right there. And that's about the limit of the kind of the maintained grounds for the house. And so our buffer, I would say, to the wetlands is about 25 feet. So from the wall to that fence line is 25 feet. So I think we're getting that much more buffer. Below the wall, in both towns, we're getting, I'm proposing 40 shade trees, 8 small trees, and about 29 evergreen trees. So a total of about 77 trees just to enhance the wetland and the wetland buffer. Kind of that yellowish area there that you see there, that would be a meadow area. That's kind of where it's open right now. There's a lot of kind of invasive plants, mainly rose and privet. There's a little bit of knotweed kind of in the corner. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail. Jason, if you could just zoom out one click. The other changes, there's the water quality basin in the bottom, right there, the bottom left corner. Again, that's treating runoff from Plumtree Road. It's going to collect the sediment before the water just dumped onto the site in an eroding channel, and it washed down the hillside, the steep hillside, down to the Mill River, kind of untreated. So that this layout that we have now will stop the erosion. It treats some of that runoff in this basin here. We have some native plantings wrapping it, and again, that basin will be seeded. The entire site, in the Trumbull area, is screened with evergreen trees, kind of a dense layout here that we have along Plumtree Road, and Plumtree Lane and South Park Ave. So there's a lot of evergreen trees along there. It resumed further out. I'd just like to go over some of the notes that we've added to the plan. There's turtle protection notes for the kind of the wood turtles that are down by the Mill River. These are standard notes that from the DEEP that they use mainly before any construction starts, before any tree removal, maybe the wildlife barrier, which would probably be a double row of silt fence in this case, would be installed. An environmental analyst would go out there, search for turtles. If there's any within a development area, they get relocated to the downhill side, to the Mill River side of that wildlife barrier. There's some education for the contractors to do in these notes. So again, those are pretty much standard notes. If we go for a little bit to the right, we have non-native invasive species control notes just above the title box. Right, yeah, so right there. So we're just mainly cutting the invasive plants down to the ground. We're not using any herbicides in this on this control method here. So just like to maybe wrap up by saying that we're now treating the runoff from Plumtree Road in that water quality basin. We have a much larger wetland buffer than we had before, or than was existing now. We have additional trees planted within the wetland buffer. And based on this layout, this will not have an adverse impact. The development will not have an adverse impact to the wetlands in the Mill River. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Question for you, Matthew. It's Richard. You were talking about the red line. Is that the existing stone wall that we saw that when we walked it? Are you removing that?
That was the wall that was proposed last time. So that was the kind of the retaining wall that was proposed last time.
Okay, is the existing stone wall that's there, that's not going to be touched?
No, that's not going to be touched.
Okay.
That almost follows the wetland line, so that's down low.
Okay, no, I was a little confused, and I'm never afraid to ask a question.
So thank you.
All right, at this point, Tatiana, do you want to absorb for a bit, or do you want to make your comments before we go to the commission or John Mayer?
It's hard to us to absorb. Basically, I don't even have plans in front of me, so impossible for staff to review. But I did hear that 77 new trees are proposed. Is that correct?
Yes, but those are within most of those are within the eastern, but those are the what's called the wildlife wetland enhancement plantings. So those are all below the proposed retaining wall to the rear of the development. That number doesn't include the evergreens that wrap the site or the deciduous trees that are within the site development area. So those are basically the wildlife and wetland habitat enhancement plantings. They're all native.
Okay, thank you. What's the total amount of new trees that you're proposing on site for the project?
If you give me a minute, I can get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you. And what is the height of the walls in the front of the development? I heard you guys describe the back walls.
Yeah, Michael Lambert. So in the front of the property that's closest to Plumtree, those because we were able to kind of shrink the ones in the back, the ones in the front did enlarge quite a bit. They're the highest point is about 33 feet near the north end, and then shrink down as we move south along Plumtree Lane.
Okay, has a design of those walls been at all
Not yet,
scaled?
no.
Okay. What's your total cut and fill volume? Do you have those numbers?
No, we don't. We do not have Michael Lambert. No, we do not have those at the moment.
I may
Unless
have,
Jason
Jason
has.
Edwards for the record, I may have something if you give me a moment. I think Nick put something together today, so hang on 1 minute. Go
Okay,
ahead,
I'll
continue,
just
I'll come back to
okay, thank you. I'll just pause for now, Richard.
All right. One of the problems we had, unfortunately, with this wonderful snow, we weren't able to do our walk. And that was going to be helpful in that we could determine where trees were being removed from the Trumbull side. Matthew, seeing we didn't get out there, can you put your tree plan up and kind of walk us through there as to what's being removed from Trumbull and what are you replacing in Trumbull?
Matt, are you want to go run through this, or what do you want me to put up for you? You're muted, Matt.
Matt, you muted.
Sorry about that. I'm
Oh,
just,
the other
Jason,
thing, while I'm thinking of it, and we had talked about this, was doing an overlay. Was that ever done by any chance, Jason or Michael? From the old to, or not from the old, but from your original to your alternate?
Yeah, I did show that earlier. I added out just an outline of the buildings really overlaid on. It was a part of the package. I can pull it up here. Hang on. It's tough to go with too much detail because it's hard to see things, but this sheet here, if you guys are seeing my screen, right? Yeah. The blue line would be where the apartment building was proposed versus where the black buildings are where we were proposing the buildings now. So I don't know if that's visible, but you see these blue outline here. You can see the rest is sort of in the
Yep,
background, right?
all right, yep.
Excuse me.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
so I'll answer the question about the number of trees. There's
Well, can you put the tree plan up for us? So,
You want the tree
the rest
removal
of the
plan or the tree
commissioners?
planting plan?
Start with that one.
well, you have that, Jason. Do you want to maybe just go over that one?
This one? Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
But
What I did, Jason Edwards, for the record. Excuse me. We tried to color differentiate the trees that we thought would probably be. Well, we located all these in the field. They're all everything over 6-inch caliper was surveyed and plotted up here. We went a little far on this end. Those are not coming down. This is the neighbor's property on the right side. But the stuff, the purple trees would be outside of the upland review area. They're well, sorry, I don't know why that did that. Hang on. Lost my screen. Hang on. Again. Okay. So everybody can see that now, I hope. The back. So the purple trees would be trees that we think could be impacted outside of the upland review area. And the blue, light blue would be anything that is in the upland review area that we thought would be impacted, and then nothing was to come down as far as I recall. The trees were to remain everything that was down below the purple line, the LOD line. So we had a count here of 110 trees within the upland review area that were to be impacted or removed. 210 trees removed outside of the upland review area.
Okay, on that, what's part of that is Trumbull?
That is a good question. Not as many as it is in Easton. The town line comes through here, so I could do a quick. Let's see, one.
Why don't you do this? Work on that for a moment and we'll go back to Matthew or
Okay.
to Commissioner rather than rush it.
Yep.
Okay.
Because
And
that
through
was
the
something
chair,
that was asked. I'm sorry, somebody said something. Was that you, Todd?
yes. While Jason is working on it, would the commission like to know how many trees are going to be within the 100 feet of that questionable water course? Should that be a separate calculation or not?
No, I think it's two separate. I'd like to know for Trumbull, I'd like to know for our plan review. So,
Yes, upland review from the intermittent water course that the expert was testifying last time.
That was in Easton, so I don't think that's
No.
possible, right?
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm referring to the water course off of Plum Tree area.
I agree with Tatiana. That would be very useful information.
Perhaps Jason as a separate calculation, if you could do that, please. Thank you.
all right. So while Jason's working on that, did you have anything else, Matthew?
Yes, I have the numbers of proposed trees.
All right.
We have
And
about
this
80
is for Trumbull now.
Um,
And then for
oh,
the upland, yeah.
just total overall.
Again,
Just-
I don't have any purview over Easton. I want to know what's happening with Trumbull.
Okay, let me get back to you. Back
All right.
okay.
This is just Jason Edwards. I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're asking for on there's a water course. I didn't think there was any water course on the property.
The intermittent water course off of Plum Tree Lane that we've debated over several months, and at the last meeting, there was an expert who believed it is an actual intermittent water course.
But I was under the impression that our expert didn't believe that, so I'm not sure how we want it. Steve, do we want to acknowledge that as a water course?
No, we are not acknowledging it as water. She's asking a question. Her question is what trees are near that, I think her question is.
So within
Right,
100
thank
feet of
you.
that, okay.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can find.
But I thought I thought that was in Easton. If I'm wrong, let me know.
It
You
enters
mean the
site
intermittent water course, counselor? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, some of it's in Trumbull, some of it's in Easton. It's
Yeah.
hard to, it's not delineated, so it would be I don't know how Jason's going to do it, but okay.
All right, well, while we're waiting for Jason, if Michael doesn't have anything else or Matthew, I can go to the commission. Are you good, Matthew?
I'm still counting.
Okay,
I do.
John Loria,
Yes, at the
Go
last,
ahead.
last meeting, I requested construction phasing plans and how we're gonna build this project. Like, for example, we're gonna start with building the wall and then bringing in the fill. Where are the stockpiles? These are all important things to know ahead of time before you start your project.
that you did, John. Thank you. Okay, did you have your hand up, Rich? I'm trying to see. Okay.
Nope.
All right. Anyone else from go ahead, Greg.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I know we're supposed to be focused on Trumbull, but I just have a question here. This whole riprap and scour holes, we're taking stormwater off of Trumbull and dumping it in Easton. What if Easton says no? I know this is the tough part about this plan because everything's affecting somewhere along the line affects downhill on the eastern side. So I'm asking it as a theoretical question. I don't know what the answer is on that. you understand my concern?
Yeah. All right, well, while they're pondering that, any other commissioners? Go ahead, David.
Attorney Bellis, we had this conversation last time. I assume you're still presenting this as an 830G application.
No, I hope I didn't say that. I thought what I said was that I didn't know at this time how I was going to be presenting it, and the reason for that is that in Trumbull, um, there are two ways that I see that could be a path forward for zoning. That is, one what I would call would be a text amendment and zone change to allow the let's call it 5.5, 6 units to be voted on by the Trumbull Zoning Commission to put a regulation or to propose a regulation that would be in the Trumbull regulations, and then to make sure that the site plan conforms to that. So that's one possibility. The second possibility is to do a set-aside development. A set-aside development would be under 8-30G, and so that in the town of Trumbull, I know there's some half units, but make life easy, let's call it 6, okay? Then you would have 30% of those 6, which in my mind is 2 units, would have to be at 80% AMI, which is and 1 unit at 80% AMI and 1 unit at 60% AMI. And those initials mean average median income. And in Trumbull, the average median income's ballpark around 150,000, and for the state, it's about 125,000. I am rounding. So someone would have to make, in order to buy one of those units, they'd have to show their tax returns that they make 80% of 150 or 125,000, whatever the case may be, in order to purchase it. That's what a set-aside development is. So nothing has been filed in Trumbull, so that's why I couldn't answer the question.
That's okay. I'm just, because how that plays out may affect the site plan. And that is what we're looking at here.
How would that affect the site plan? I'm not sure. I mean, I'll answer it if I can, but I'm not following it.
There's currently the site plan utilizes the majority of the site and is not complying with certain parts of the regulations with respect to setbacks, etc. And there would be a significant amount of variances and other sort of zoning approvals that would need to be obtained, which may or may not affect the overall layout of this property. So we're looking at something that right now is a wish and may change down the line, which concerns me.
I understand where you're coming
It's a bait
from.
and switch
Yeah.
sort of situation.
Yeah, okay, so now I understand where you're coming from. The answer would be no. There would be no bait and switch. If this is the plan that gets approved by wetlands, then this is the plan that would have to get submitted to zoning, either under the set-aside development or the text amendment.
And if there were any changes that result out of that process, then it would have to come back through us starting at square one.
I think, well, there shouldn't be any changes, but like in any application, I agree with you. If someone does make a change in zoning that would affect the project or affect the wetlands, we always come back to wetlands. So
right, and there's
that's
already been a concern with the public that this has been a significant enough change in the plan that it should constitute a new application. And I know you're presenting it as an alternate to sort of be a workaround on that. That's for bigger people than me to decide. But
yeah, well, there's a statute that that I'm referring to that the commission has to follow. It's a wetland statute, and it's called 22A-41, and it gives the 6 factors that the commission has to consider in acting upon any application, and one of them,
which is different than what I was just talking about. But
no,
you can read.
No, it's not, because one of them has to do with 6B1. If I can propose a prudent and feasible alternative that would
Right.
have less impact on the wetlands, then I should show it to you.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm showing you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for those answers, Attorney Bellis. Always helpful.
Okay.
Michael, have we looked at the turning radiuses going with the chicane around the first 5 buildings to ensure that fire trucks and fire apparatus can make those movements?
David, out of our purview.
I know
Sorry.
it's out of our purview, but if it changes the site plan, it changes the site plan.
And if it changes, it will come back.
Right. Okay. I would love to see
It's-
the turning radiuses.
Am I correct in that, Attorney Cordone? I mean, that's not in our purview, so if there is a problem later down and they have to revise the plans, it'll come back to us. So,
That's fine. I'm just
Right.
seeing red flags.
no, I don't disagree with you. So, Jason,
Well-
how do we make out on our calculations there?
I got a few numbers here. So we had an
But you
estimated.
went out for pizza.
I wish.
Go ahead.
Sorry, but, we had estimated cuts and fills that were submitted to Tatiana on this today, and she just has it down. But we had 3,000 cubic yards of cut and 16,000 cubic yards of fill was estimated. For the trees, we only had 2 trees to be removed within the upland review area in Trumbull. 136 trees outside of the upland review area, and roughly 50 trees within 100 feet of that drainage ditch. So I don't know exactly where that is, but
What was that last number, Jason?
About 50 trees within the 100 feet of the drainage ditch in Trumbull.
Effectively, you're clear cutting the site.
Oh, that's not true. I mean, there's a lot of trees to remain down below the wall in that area. I mean, there's a lot of undisturbed area. I mean, I think our client mentioned to us today that he'd be willing to do some sort of a deed restricted conservation area down there if that was, something the commission was looking for, or would think would be a good idea. That would protect an awful lot of trees down the bottom near the river.
Oh, that really wouldn't have much to do with us. It's Easton. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Matt Pop, I do have the numbers for the trees proposed.
there you go.
We have 51 deciduous trees. 15 of those or so, or 16 of those are the small trees to shed. So 51 deciduous, 42 evergreens. Those are the kind of larger grower evergreens, and 87 green giants, if you want to include those. But if you include the green giants, the deciduous trees, and evergreen trees, it's 181 trees.
All right. Well, I know Bob and David will look through this because that's their area of expertise, the plants. So I'm looking at, all the little guys that are showing off Plumtree. I don't have a clue because, again, I'm not sure what, everything is here because I haven't had a chance to study it. All right. Other commissioners? Anybody else? Go ahead, Bob.
Yes, the water retention system is functioning on the interior part of the units, and then along Plumtree, there's the water coming down that's going into a rain area, the rainforest area. Is there going to be a water retention system in addition to that, or just in that rain garden?
Michael Lambert, for the record.
This is the water coming along Plumtree Road itself.
Yeah, for the record, Michael Lambert. So the drainage system that's coming off of Plumtree that's being piped that we're now catching, there is no set forth detention system for it. It's just the water quality rain garden that we're proposing at the south end of the development.
And that's going to suffice. That'll meet all the requirements for water retention. I mean, as far as purity of the water.
As far as meeting for the Connecticut Stormwater Manual, no. It is undersized to meet them, but it is providing some treatment to that system. It's the whole system right there is everything that's going to be off-site. It's about just under 6 acres of land that's flowing into that area. So for us to try to treat that whole area that's off-site, that's town road and abutting properties, it makes us very difficult for us to try to justify doing a full capture of water quality and detention for the town system. But the water quality, the rain garden right now is about 10 to 12% of that water quality volume. It is providing some treatment to that storm system, but we're not 100% compliant with Connecticut Stormwater Manual.
Is there a reason why you didn't put the water retention system on that as well?
I'm sorry?
Is there a reason why you didn't put a water retention system in that area?
It's primarily that whole area is just the offsite that's flowing onto our property. So we're just kind of to try to rewrite it around us. It wasn't our intention to try to treat and detain the town's stormwater runoff.
Tatiana or John, does that meet our requirements as far as the water retention with or without the rain garden in that situation?
It does, yeah. It's not typical for private properties to treat right-of-way runoff because those watershed areas may be very large. But it's always good to add water quality infrastructure or any green infrastructure as well.
Thank you.
But good question, thank you.
Tatiana, before I go back to Attorney Bellis to kind of wind up so I can go to the public.
I still have a question.
Okay, wait a moment, hold. I see I have two commissioners. Go ahead, John Loria.
Yeah, I'd like to get an answer to my statement before. Since I haven't been able to review the plans, did we get a construction and phasing plan as requested in the last meeting? Will I find that in my package? And if so, can we put it up on the screen quickly?
Just give me 1 second, Jason. It's in there's a sequence written out in the erosion control narratives. I'll pull it up for you. Hang on.
Thank you. See, I warned them that was coming.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for Jason, Michael Lambert for the record, I just want to jump in quick on the earthwork calculations that Tatiana was requesting and Jason had given us. That 13,000 about cubic yards of fill that Jason had mentioned was for the apartment complex development. For this one, for the alternate plan, we actually have a 13,000 cubic yards of cut. So we have a much larger cut that's going to have soil coming off site on this plan of the townhouses compared to the apartment complex.
Okay, I'm sorry, Michael. Can you clarify again? What is it cut to fill? Because I had 3,000 per Jason.
So
what are you saying?
So the numbers that Jason had said of 3,000 cubic yards of cut and 16,000 cubic yards of fill, that was for the apartment complex.
Okay, so what is the new one?
So the new one is essentially flips that, and it's 13,000. Actually, you know what? It's about 15,000 cubic yards of cut, 2,000 cubic yards of fill.
Wow.
All right.
That accounts for the 30-foot high wall, huh?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, I see your notes here, but is there an actual plan that shows stockpile locations and things like that, or we just have these project notes? Okay, so construction staging.
You got some staging areas here. There's a stockpile area depicted here. These are temporary sediment basins that would be
okay.
You know, this would be hammered out a bit with the new plan as we went through, but this is generally what we're looking at. Excuse me. To get some water.
Is it acceptable to you, Tatiana?
It could be a little bit more detailed. I think what you're asking is an actual construction phasing plan, not just
Yes.
visual control. So it could be, a little bit more detailed phase one, phase, etc. But they have good, information on the screen.
Okay.
And generally, we
Okay.
would provide that as more of a construction, when we get to construction documents and planning and zoning, or even past that for permits. So it's sort of early for a wetlands application to have that level of sequencing for us, but it is something we could certainly do.
Okay. I wanted to make sure you're thinking about it then. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jason, I'll tell you where we learned that. We had a 5-house subdivision and we didn't ask for that. And it was supposed to have been phased house to house. And the gentleman came in and clear cut everything.
Yeah.
So we kind of learned from a mistake on that one.
Yeah,
David, you had your
around
hand
some of
up
those too.
before?
Yes. Anecdotally, there's been discussion of a lot of seeps on the hillside here, both above the road and below. With these retaining walls, I'm assuming they will have some sort of footing drains, depending on how they're constructed. And they could be collecting a fair amount of water. Where will those be directed, and where will they be exited, and how will that be handled? Michael, I think that would be in your ball court, right? And you're muted.
Yes, Michael Lambert. I think a lot of those, before we get down to the, I guess, lower retaining walls, any of that, subgrade, or not the subgrade, the underground groundwater that may be encountered, I think a lot of that's going to get intercepted by the buildings and the footing drains for those. Those would get routed to the outside, kind of go around our detention system, and kind of figured out a way to discharge on the southern side of the retaining walls. Probably installed a similar type of riprap splash pad for those, just to help mitigate anything that goes off site. But it's hard to kind of quantify what kind of flows or sizing materials of stuff like that. But any of the footing drains that would go kind of at the buildings or at the walls would get routed to the outskirts of the development and through the walls on the down gradient side.
And so those subsurface flows that are sort of migrating through the site now in a distributed fashion are going to go to a point discharge.
I think there's going to be, Jason Edwards for the record. We don't have the wall manufacturer or the design finished at this point, but generally speaking, I would see like weep holes spaced evenly along the walls at regular intervals, where you'd have them, weep out if needed, based on the amount of flow encountered during their geotechnical assessment. So they design it in accord, to prevent a point discharge. It would all be either go out underground below the wall, or it would seep out in weep holes above. Is my opinion.
We will need more information on that.
Matt Pop here. I was, when I was out there, been out there, many times, I really didn't see any seeps. I was pretty surprised that there was high groundwater up, by maybe the start of that ditch. There, when you're out there, there's no spice bush that creeps way up the slope, or any individual skunk cabbage that you might see if there were seeps. So, again, I didn't see it, so I was kind of shocked the last meeting that came up.
All right, you're good, David?
Yeah, I'm good for now. Thank you.
Okay, Tatiana, are you good?
Quick question. What is the height of the townhomes? Proposed height?
I'd have to look. Give me a moment to see if I have anything on that. Just a minute.
Okay. And I think the review letter that was sent for the first iteration of plans, there were some questions about temperature and how that development impacts the cold water conditions. Has that been looked at in the proposed alternate plan?
Yes, Michael Lambert. Yeah, so kind of reviewing the typical standards set forth by DEP. They like to see the water quality and ideally the 2-year storm event be able to be self-contained. That helps regulate any of the heated flows that hit that or the rainfall that excuse me, the rainfall that hits the heated asphalt and the roof areas, that really that temperature of those surfaces really decrease after that 2-year storm event. So to be able to try to self-contain that 2-year storm event is going to decrease any negative thermal impacts that our site may have on the cold water streams. So being able to self-contain that 2-year storm, we would meet the DEP regulations for the discharge and not have a negative impact on the Mill River.
So are you overflowing a past 2-year storm?
Yeah. So at the Michael Lambert, so at the 5-year storm, that's where we start to overflow the low flow orifice of the outlet control structure, and that's when we start seeing a discharge offsite.
Okay, so that's for the impervious runoff from the site. Now, the drainage ditch that currently runs through the wooded area is now piped and then it is routed through the shallow rain garden. How is that temperature control? That's going to be heated.
Again, that's town system. I don't know how. I mean, today, right now, there is no treatment for it. It just overland flows. We are providing some treatment. We are now putting it into a level spreader to help spread out that flow and not have that point discharge.
We're also increasing the length of the travel path, I think, too, aren't we? You're gonna have a longer time of concentration before you get to the river than going straight down the hill. Potentially.
Matt Pop here. Below, we are doing a lot of it. We are planting a lot of shade trees below the level spreaders. Also, where the drainage ditch is very steep there. I'm not sure how much change in temperature that happens in that ditch from the top of the slope down to the bottom. Again, it's very steep. And ours, after we are discharging it in the level spreader where it's gently sloping. It's mainly in Easton that we're planting those trees, but there's probably about 30 trees in that area.
Okay, thank you.
All right, before I go to
building height, if you want that, it's going to be roughly 30 feet is what the architect says. I don't have a plan for it, but that's what he says, approximately 30 feet.
Okay,
so there's no attic on the from the second floor then. Because you're figuring 10 feet a story. So you're going 3 stories, that's 30. There's again, not seeing elevations design. I'm not sure what we're looking at, but all right, before I go to Attorney Bellis, any other comments from the commission? As after that, we'll go to the public. Are we good? Okay, Attorney Bellis.
Sure. So I guess to wrap up what I've heard and what we're doing, I would suggest that our Supreme Court has been very clear that the legislature didn't adopt broad definitions of wetlands and watercourses. The regulations are to protect the physical characteristics of the wetlands and watercourses, not the environment in general. That's what the case law says. Much of the comments that I heard from the public do not demonstrate an actual and specific harm to the physical wetlands or the Mill River. What I heard was concerns, speculations, or potential harm. either to trout, turtles, but that's not the standard, at least according to the courts and case law. The evidence can't be potential damage. It can't be possibilities. It can't be worries. It can't be concerns. Um, Although those are all legitimate feelings of the public, that's not what the court or your commission can consider. There has to be substantial evidence that there will be a significant impact, and it has to be pointed out. Um, and I didn't hear any of that. I truly didn't. What we have done, or what we focused on, was making sure that the construction activities that we are doing, which are in the upland review area, are not likely to have a significant impact on the physical characteristics of the wetlands or the Mill River. We specifically submitted an alternative plan that preserves the existing wetlands and water course functions. As you know, we reduced the density from the apartment building that was partially in Trumbull, and now have one building with 4 units and two other, let's call it, units in Trumbull. We pulled the project back 9 feet on the Trumbull line so that there would be a bigger distance, a bigger buffer in the upland review and we planted those. We changed the engineering of the project to be offline. The storm drainage system complies with the storm regulations for the state under MS4. But more importantly, it also now complies with the 2024 Connecticut Deep Guidelines and for water quality. So I think that is significant. We have the galleys that are now accessible. They're not under an apartment, under an apartment building in a garage, so they can be maintained. I think we've improved the situation that's there now, which is having the storm, just having water flow down Plumtree and then make a right-hand turn and go right through the middle of the property down to the Mill River. We've improved that condition by proposing to grab that water, pipe it over to a rain garden, and then send it out on a level spreader so that it'll be more uniform and allow the particulates to be caught before it ever reaches the wetlands or the Mill River. So I think that's an improvement. And that's not something we created, that we're helping a town situation. I think we listened to the commission's concerns and certainly made changes to the landscape plan and storm drainage locations for the level spreaders based on your peer review done by your experts. So I think you heard that our project will use the best management practices. And why are we doing that? Because we want to ensure that there will be no adverse impact to the wetlands or the Mill River. That's been our goal. We've told you that from the beginning, and I think everything that we've tried to do is to ensure that that happens. We've agreed to a soil and erosion bond, obviously. If there are conditions of approval, I would suggest that the maintenance plan for those galleys and storm drains be part of that, and we agree to that. So if I were to summarize, what we have here is a project that is not in the wetlands. So we're not seeking a permit for that. But we have a project that is being proposed in the upland review area that we feel does not adversely impact the wetlands. And I think that the alternative plans that we have given you help make you feel more comfortable that that's not going to happen. Um, we've we've met all the factors under 22-41 that will allow you to approve this application. I think it's a better plan. I think that's a lesser impact than the apartment building, and I did not hear anything from the public that would suggest that there's definitely going to be a problem, a specific problem based on this construction of these 6 units. So I think that it is something that the commission should approve.
All right, you're good?
I am.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, before we go to the public comment.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Attorney Ballas, for your presentation tonight and for your comments. Just a couple of quick housekeeping matters. I think we're down to about 5 days worth of extension time. And I'm just want to confirm that you want us to close the public hearing tonight.
Yes, that was my understanding from our last meeting. The chairman asked us to give us some more details about our alternative plan. We've done that, and I've rebutted the public's comments. So I do want the hearing closed. And
Okay. Thank
yeah.
you, sir.
Yeah.
I'm still meaning to cut you off. Go ahead. And just and as of course you know, we have 35 days with which to render a decision. The 35th day is the day before our March meeting. So I was wondering if your client would be so kind to grant us another day or two extension so that if we don't hold a special meeting, we're able to make a decision at our March meeting.
Absolutely. You don't need to have a special meeting because of us.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor.
All right. Then we're going to go to the public. Mr. Chin, is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak?
And Mr. Chairman, you might want to just remind the public about the general guidelines.
Sir, if
Attorney
there's any member of
Cordone.
the public that would like to make a comment at this time, please raise your hand. And when we bring you in as a panelist, you have to actually accept the promotion to panelist to join the meeting. And Ms. Benson will be the first speaker.
Okay, and before she speaks, I am going to ask Attorney Cordone, who does this so elegantly, to outline, our public speaking as to not repeating. You know how you always do it well, much better than I do.
I think you do it better, Mr. Chairman, but I'm happy to help. It's just a friendly reminder to the public that if you have made comments or submitted those comments in writing previously, that the commission has those, and you're welcome to state your opposition or if you're in favor of the project. But there's no need to repeat everything if it's already been put in the record. So just a friendly reminder to the general public on that. If someone's already stated something, you can just state you agree. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. And we have received 4 letters that have gone out, and we, acknowledge those. Go ahead, Mr. Benson.
Hi, Dana Benson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Dana Benson, 34 Pond Road, Easton. I am a citizen of Easton, and I'm opposed to this project. I had sent over to the board last week to Tatiana an email, a summary of some of the testimony, including the full link to the full Easton hearing, in which we had 8 experts testify on various aspects of this project. And did you receive that email is the first question, if you can respond. I guess you can't do that. Okay, I hope you received that email. I'm going to resend it right now. One of the experts who testified is a guy named Michael Clemens. He's considered the dean of reptile and amphibian studies in Connecticut. He's published over 100 books and research pieces on various, particularly turtles. And at our hearing, he pointed out unequivocally that there is wood turtle habitat in this area, And under deep, and this is what you have to think about, I believe, a Department of Environment, when you have a threatened or endangered species in Connecticut, the first thing you have to do before you can build anything is to do a species survey of the land to ascertain how much of the species exists there, and what are you going to do to remediate the harms, minimize the harms to the species. And in particular, once again, in our hearing, the expert pointed out within 300 feet of the river, minimally invasive effects upon the species. And this project, 80 or 90% of it is within 300 feet. So I highly encourage you to listen to his 10-minute testimony before you make a decision. The other expert we had, and in what I sent you are audio links, clips to the sections where these guys spoke, is a gentleman named Steve Trinkus, who's considered one of the top low-density sustainable development experts in New England, 45 years experience, and he specifically testified about concerns regarding the positioning of the level spreader and the effect of redirecting part of the flows that are currently going across the entire road to one side of the road, that this could potentially starve one side of the wetlands and cause it to change and dry out. So these are two areas in which I think the commission, even though you may say, well, most of the wetlands is in Easton and we're in Trumbull, but still you're a wetlands commission. And I disagree with Attorney Bellis's contention that there is no discernible effect upon the species in this area because they haven't done a wildlife survey. So how do they know? Okay, so that's one aspect of my objections. And the other things, like I said, we had 8 experts. I would highly encourage you to listen to what was said by the experts, because I know what we as laymen doesn't matter too much, but the contention that there's no effect upon the wetlands from this project, both from a soil engineering, stormwater perspective, and from an endangered species perspective, simply is, at least what we were told at Easton by expert, isn't true. And then the last thing I want to do is this. At our hearing, Attorney Bellis claimed that the cutting down of the trees, the 300 or whatever the number is, was not a wetlands regulated activity. And expert Trinkus, and you can hear it in his testimony, specifically rebutted that. When there's selective harvesting of trees, it's not a regulated activity in his opinion for the wetlands to regulate. However, when you're doing clear cutting, which is what we're talking about here, it does come under the purview of the wetlands. So I would encourage Trumbull to please listen to the testimony from Easton and incorporate and weave that into your decision making. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Benson.
Mr. Chair, I would formally object to any testimony coming from another town being introduced at this hearing before the town of Trumbull. That's highly improper, it's illegal, and it's not appropriate. I have no problem with people speaking and giving their own opinions, but we can't take the testimony from another town and incorporate it into this particular hearing. That would be what we call a violation of the fairness doctrine. So.
No, I agree. So far, we've read nothing from Easton. I don't know of anything that's come to us. So.
That speaker said he was sending it to Tatiana. That's why I caution you.
It won't go farther than Tatiana.
Thank you, sir.
Again, no, that's our counselor, Attorney Cordone, has brought that up. He said it shouldn't be brought out to any of the commissioners. Our municipal staff, they can talk to Easton. We are not supposed to, and we all acknowledge that, know that. All right, Mr. Chin.
Yes, sir. Mr. Kame is the next speaker.
Jonathan Kame, 9 Russ Road, Trumbull, Connecticut, the next street over from Plumtree. Can you hear me?
Sir? Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask, is there still time to submit a letter to the board after tonight with the new information that closed tonight.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. Are you asking,
Can you hear me?
still? Yeah, if you want to submit it.
Can
and
we
it
still
gets in-
submit a letter after tonight's date?
No, if you can get it in before midnight, we'd accept it as part of the record. Am I correct, Mr. Cordone?
Generally, we do not, at the close of the public hearing, additional
Right.
information is not allowed except through perhaps advice or consultation with staff.
All right.
So that's generally the rule.
And that's why that gentleman gets the big bucks and I don't, see? So, anything else?
Well, yes, some of the information is being presented tonight for the first time to the public. So, did I understand correctly that this plan versus the old plan, they're now going to be removing 15,000 cubic yards of dirt from the property? Is that what cut means?
Tatiana, can you come in on that?
Yes, cut means removal of fill or material.
Okay, so that's more than the prior plan with the apartment building, and there's going to be less fill. And if I heard correctly, Michael Lambert stated that they're now going to drain that spring water that runs across Plumtree Lane to a rain garden. And when they do the cut, if they hit the groundwater underneath the property, they're also going to drain that into the separation spreaders. So they're literally moving the underground water if they hit it when they take out the 15,000 cubic yards. I thought it was improper to move water off your property like that onto neighboring properties or to reroute rivers, but will this be a new rule for every resident in the town of Trumbull? Can we cite this case and say we can do whatever we want now with moving water? That's one of my concerns. Also, there is significant evidence of harm to the inland wetlands and to the animals by the testimony of the applicant's own experts. They've specifically said they're removing trees that the animals eat. They're replacing them with trees that the animals do not eat. So in effect, you're removing their food source. The back wall is going to act as a barrier wall, so the animals will not be able to traverse the property anymore. So now you're driving them off the property. The turtles, with regard to the turtles, they lay their eggs upland. So that wall is going to act as a barrier. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. And now you're putting in solar panels, which may affect the birds that fly over the property. It may actually, in fact, kill them. So there is an effect by the testimony of the applicant's experts. And now Michael Lambert is saying they're going to, if they hit the underground water, they're going to drain that as well. So they're moving water underneath the property. They're intentionally changing the trees and putting in the barriers. So that is but their own experts testify to that. So the public doesn't actually have to present alternative experts if their own experts are saying they're going to harm the wildlife. And they're basically moving everything off the property. So I strongly object to this. I'm within 120 feet of the property, as well as my mother, who just turned 97 years old. She objects to it as well. And now you're going to put in a 33-foot wall on Plumtree Lane. And I didn't hear how high the wall is in back, but apparently it's lower now. But those are both going to act as barriers. So we strongly object to the approval of this plan or the prior plan because it's inconsistent with the neighborhood and it ruins the environment completely. I disagree with Attorney Ballas. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mr.
Let's
Chairman,
see, Mr. Benson has his hand up. We'll bring you in one more time, but we have other people.
Yeah, no,
Go
I'll
ahead.
just be very quickly. I'm sorry. In the middle of Attorney Bellis's rebuttal or response to what I said, my computer died. And I just, in one or two sentences, could you just summarize what he said Because you know, was he saying what I was talking about was inadmissible, or what was his reaction?
Attorney Bellis, can you do us a favor and give us a quick summary of what you said in response?
It's improper to bring testimony from other hearings from other towns into this particular hearing. There's a rule, it's called fundamental fairness doctrine. You can testify and say what you want in this hearing, but we don't bring in testimony, expert reports from all over Connecticut to be heard into this particular application. So anything that you want to submit from the town of Easton should be precluded.
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you. I mean, is that law or is that an opinion?
That's the law, and the town's
Thank you.
attorney has backed me up on it. So
Thank you.
And the point I made is that none of us have seen anything from Easton and we haven't accepted it. So, all right, I see Jeff with the hand up.
Jeff Becker, 5 Cedar Hill Road, Easton. That is an interesting quirk in the law, and that you can't hear testimony from somewhere else, but anything that's been through the courts is admissible as evidence and supporting, you know, your legal positions. But I'm not a lawyer, so we'll just we'll leave that where it is. I find this whole thing to be just unfathomably unprofessional. That no documents were presented in a timely manner, that this one was done at the last minute, and this hearing is the only hearing we have, given all this new development, design, etc. And I don't know how this is at all possible that this should pass muster in a court. And certainly Judith de Graffenfield believes that this whole thing should have been started over. I don't know if the commission can comment on that, or how that, her letter to you and her commentary in the last meeting, how that factors into the adjudication process. I think that the big problem with this development, which I'm totally against, is the water. Because we sort of think we know how much water's there, but then we kind of don't, because we've been in a drought for 2 years, and we're going to build this retaining system. Do we know how long it will last? It's designed only for a 2-year storm. What percentage of storms are greater than the 2-year storm? And what happened to all that water? Because water is wet and it flows downhill. If the goal is to protect the river, we should deny this, because no matter what you do, you've rearranged the landscape, you've cut all the trees which would absorb all that water. And if you don't have the trees to absorb the water, then it's going to just flow down to the river, and with it comes sediment and whatever else comes off the road, and possibly development. Although because you're building this wall, you're building effectively a moat, but somehow then the water that's on that property will have to somehow infiltrate underneath that wall, which could potentially erode the wall. And I just see this thing becoming a disaster. It'll be built, the water will have some places to go or not go, and you're going to have an unfathomable mess. We've heard words that the water table isn't high or is high. What is the height of the water table here? And if you do all of that cutting, how are you not going to be in the water table if the water table is high? And then somehow you're going to try to manage the water that doesn't have any trees to absorb it, and somehow it's going to again head towards the river with the whole development slide down the hillside. I think this is, again, just a disaster in the making. Regarding snow removal, I just removed the snow from my small driveway, and geez, I almost needed a field to put all that snow in. And if we get another blizzard next Sunday, what would you do in this development with all that snow? I just think this whole business is a disaster, the way it's been handled, the way it's been delivered in terms of documents, and you should vote no if for no other reason than you're not ready for prime time and we should start over. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I see a Mr. Cote, I believe it is.
You have Marguerite Cody.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, this is Marguerite Cody, and I live on the top of Plum Tree Lane. There is too many issues with this project. I'm concerned about the flooding impact that this project will have on the housing complex. The townhouse project will remove the flood buffer that's between 5 and 15 Plumtree Lane. Let us not forget that this proposal indicates that 29 townhouses are to be built in a flood zone. And this is a flood zone. I've seen it many times flood because I lived here for 24 years. And it floods beyond that sign that says welcome to Easton. So that's pretty high. And this wall could get affected by that. Flooding waters could find its way through every nook and cranny. It will flood from underneath the wall, putting it in jeopardy of the water building up behind it. And over time, that could collapse that wall. Also, it will cause a sewer pump station, storm detention system, and spreader to fail. And then raw sewage and debris could flow into the Class A Mill River and destroy it. Look at the weather that we've been having, and especially today. When the weather is below 30 degrees with over a foot of snow, a storm detention system and spreader will freeze, causing a total loss of capacity. What are we going to do then when this is disabled? This will cause surface flooding and icing within the complex, leading to 100% runoff, further polluting the river. The spreader will completely be buried and blocked by snow. This will create new streams that will cause erosion rather than disperse flow. It will become dormant until the snow melts, at which point it faces a high risk of being overwhelmed by a rapid spring runoff, potentially causing more erosion and settlement buildup. So if this is not a 830G project, it should be reapplied by the state of Connecticut. Even with all the changes, it should be reapplied. Please do not approve this project. It is a bad location and it is a bad idea. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I see a Judith DeGraft.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my message. Yesterday's snowstorm brought 12 inches.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you. You have to give your name and your address, please.
And I don't know if we got that on the last speaker either, Mr. Chairman. If we got the
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Okay. Judith Graffenreid, 323 Unity Road.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yesterday's snowstorm brought 12 to 18 inches of snow across much of Connecticut. It's a significant amount, but not unprecedented. Many of us remember similar or larger storms over 9 inches or so. That's exactly why this is a fair, practical question for towns approving high-density, affordable housing projects under HB 8002 or Statute 830G. When a storm like this happens, where is the snow stored or dumped? Is it pushed into wetlands, floodplains, rivers, or buffer areas? How are parking bans and emergency access handled when projects have reduced or waived parking requirements? What happens to residents' vehicles when municipalities need streets cleared? These are not hypothetical concerns. They are predictable winter conditions in Connecticut and should be addressed before approval, not during an emergency. Likewise, I would like to remind the commission that there has been brought up that there's insufficient room in this plan for fire trucks to maneuver. Also, I would like to comment on the 830G. In fact, 830G is preempted by the Connecticut Environmental Protection Act. So you cannot, I think it's a common misconception that everything falls apart under the application of an 830G, but that's not true at all. So we still enjoy our environmental protections under 830G, regardless of that. Also, my final question is this. I found Dana Benson's statement very, very informative. And I regret, I'm not quite sure I understand the legality why it was not admissible. And I found it fascinating, relevant, and I would like to know if I could actually have his statement submitted under my name.
Okay, again, we can't accept anything that
Chairman.
comes in from Easton.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Attorney
So his
Cordone.
his statement is admissible. It has been presented. His letter's been presented. What we can't have is testimony from outside this hearing be brought in remotely. That's not, we can't take Easton's hearing and put it into ours. That's what can't happen. So his testimony is given and the commission heard it, and his letter's been received.
Okay, and the word of the experts he cited is still going to be considered, correct?
The testimony outside of this hearing cannot be considered. Only the testimony in this hearing.
Huh. Okay, because that was very compelling testimony. Now, since the applicant did introduce a very substantial material change, are you guys going to accept additional public hearings which are required when there's a major material change? And especially given the fact that there's new information being presented tonight that we did not know about. So I think it's only fair. I hope the commission will honor the obligation to hold more public hearings. Thank you.
Did you want to address that, Attorney Cordone?
No, thank you for the statement, Mr. Chairman.
On your comment, the previous, she commented that she lives at the top of Plumtree. So she's a Plumtree resident. The Cote, I guess it is her last name. All right. Let's see. Who else do we have, Mr. Chin? Anyone else?
Mr. Benson would like to make another comment.
I know we brought him in twice, and I would rather see what the rest of the
there are a few others that I'm bringing in.
Yeah,
bringing
not
now,
being rude, but you know, we
Mr.
have to be
Keen,
fair.
Ms. Cosgrove, and Ms. Cohn.
All right, well, let's I don't see them so far. Okay, I see a cone, an aerial cone. If you can unmute and come on.
Mr. Chin, if you could help the chair, and perhaps people have made their comments, if you could move them back. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ariel Cohn. I live at 156 Wendy Road, Trumbull. I'm opposed to this project. I also would ask, I don't know if the public is allowed to object to closing the public hearing, but as we've not had adequate time to review the plans that have been presented tonight, I would, if it's possible, object to the closing of the public hearing and ask that it be continued so the public can adequately review the plans and make their comments. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Okay, I see a Gina Cosgrove.
Yes, except this is not Gina, this is James. I'm using my wife's iPad, so forgive the, I tried to put my name in, but the system wouldn't let me do it, excuse me.
No problem.
I'm at 2 Plumtree Lane. We're at 2 Plumtree Lane, actually. And I have a few comments. I agree with the earlier speaker, Jeff, regarding the closing of the public hearing and this lady who just spoke. I feel like the developer and his representatives have just continually, by your own testimony, delayed providing plans that the public can look at. To it today, the written plans certain members of the commission asked for weren't available to be disseminated. So I feel like closing the public hearing is unfair. The other question I have, or issue I have, is we had at the last public hearing, you had a hydrogeologist who, based on his testimony, is qualified to determine whether there's an underground water course, intermittent water course. And I would contend that if this ever goes to court and winds up in court, that those experts of the developer, the Matt Pop, for example, the gentleman who is a land use and wetland specialist, I suspect they would be daubered. They would not survive a dauber challenge because I don't believe they're qualified to determine whether there's an underground watercourse. And my last point is, how can you make a decision on this without having a perk test done in a high rainy season, i.e. the springtime, after the winter snows have been here, and let's assume we get a real rainy spring and all of a sudden the water level table changes dramatically. So I feel like, especially given the delays that the developer, every time you guys ask for something, you don't have it. Next time you don't have it, you don't have it, you don't have it. It's like a constant delay. It's almost like it's intentional. But those other challenges too, the intermittent water course underground, as well as the question of when the perk test was done in a very dry time of year, feel like those things are important facts that you need to look at and try to make a correct determination on whether it's appropriate for this particular site. Thank you very much. And I don't know if I said it, but we're at 2 Plumtree Lane, just FYI.
I'm assuming you're right across the
I am
street?
right across.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If there are any other residents who would like to make a comment, please raise your hand at the bottom of your screen. Please click the button or press star 9 if you're on the phone. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kame and Mr. Benson would like to make another comment. Mr. Rosen is on his way in now.
Okay. Mr. Rosen, if you would.
Mr. Rosen, go ahead.
You're muted, Mr. Rosen.
Mr. Rosen, you're still muted.
We can't hear you, sir.
I think we had this problem, I think last time, I'm not sure.
Mr. Rosen, I'm asking you to unmute. That should create a pop-up on your screen.
Maybe he can reach the meeting via telephone.
You can see the problem's not on his computer. It shows he's muted.
Mr. Rosen, can you hear us, sir?
You're muted. You have to find the control that unmutes you. Should be in the upper right corner, I think. Mr. Chin might be able to help you.
I believe he's on a phone, so he may have to tap to bring up a menu. I'm trying to hit the ask to unmute button, which should pop up a prompt on his phone or tablet.
In the meantime, is there anyone other than the 2 prior applicants waiting to speak?
Miss Cody is back. If you wanted to grab the address for the record.
Hi, this is Mark Cody. I'm her husband.
Right.
We're at 85 Plumtree Lane for the record.
Thank you.
So this project keeps changing. every time we come to a meeting, there's a different map. We don't know if it's scale model. The entire property is covered with buildings and driveways. I can't imagine how you can say this doesn't impact the environment. Just doesn't make sense to me. Okay. You have stuff pushed out as far as the property lines will allow. There is no side yard. I mean, my house is farther away from my neighbor, and I'm at the top of the hill, than this property is to the neighbor next door to him. I don't know how you can do that. The property keeps changing over and over again. We got another iteration of it tonight. And you even said it came at 5 o'clock. So I don't know how you could close the public hearing if there's so many questions that still have to be answered. And this probably is going to change again because you're going to make questions up, and then Mr. Bellis and his crew over there are going to change it around again. And we're going to be stuck with a bad project that's going to hurt the environment. And once you put a shovel in the ground, there's no turning back. So for that reason, we are against this project. Please leave this area alone. Just let nature take care of itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Mr. Rosen.
Yes, I came
There
back
you
on
go.
my computer. Thank
Okay,
you.
if you can give your name and address, please.
Yes, this is Rich Rosen. I live on Merrimack Drive in Trumbull, and I'm associated with Trout Unlimited. And I can't see how this project it's a project that's going to damage the river. It has to damage the river. You're going to be changing the water flow. You're going to reduce the tree density. You're going to increase the water temperature, and you're going to increase erosion. And what's going to happen when we ruin the fishery and the trout disappear from that area? What are the repercussions to the developer? Is there any kind of bond or guarantee that they're not going to destroy this river? And it's not a good project, and I strongly oppose it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Chin, anybody else?
If there are any other residents who would like to make a comment at this time, please click the raised hand button at the bottom of your screen or *9 if you're on the phone. Rich's iPhone is declined, so that may have been Mr. Rosen. But other than the previous speakers, Mr. Chairman, there does not appear to be anybody else. Hold on, Mr. Rosen, or Rich's iPhone has joined the meeting.
Hello,
Sure.
this is Carmen and Rich Moskowitz. We're in Fairfield,
At 268 Toll House, right across the street from this project.
Yes.
and we actually border
The Mill River.
River. And we just want to voice our opposition. We've been here for about
21 years. And I mean, we can't do anything to our property in the backyard. I can't understand how someone would put up this number of units in this small amount of property that they have there and it not affect the wetlands at all. I mean, I assume Fairfield has, great wetlands protection. And I don't know if Trumbull does or not, but I'm just wondering how that project can possibly get passed, especially when, as the last gentleman just said, the plan has changed over and over in every meeting. It's gone from 80 to 70 and I missed the early part of the meeting today, so I'm not sure how many units are going to go on this property now, but it's just, it's a ridiculous project for this area, and they should stay away from it, and you guys should deny this application. It's ridiculous.
All right, you good?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Again, Mr. Chin, anyone else? I know we have the two people waiting, and normally we don't go back and forth, so,
Mr. Chairman, that appears to be it at this time.
All right, Mr. Benson, if you could, and I would ask not to repeat what's already been said. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, hi. Thank you for giving me a third opportunity to speak. I'll try to be concise and brief. Um, I believe that the applicant has conceded that there's a threatened species on the property, the wood turtle. I believe the state has determined that the wood turtle is an endangered species. I believe that state guidelines are clear that when you have a species that's threatened, there has to be a species survey done first, and that's followed up with a conservation plan about how the proposed development will affect that species. I don't know if that's been done. If it hasn't been done, I think it should be done. I don't see how the applicant can say there's no wetlands impact without having done a survey of the species on the property. I think that's just doesn't seem logical to me. I believe the burden of proof is on the applicant to show that there is no effect upon the wetlands. I think the commission should reject this until there's at least a species survey. The Mill River, as we know, is a class 1 wild trout stream. The trout are extremely sensitive to temperature. The cutting of the 300 trees, I believe, is clear cutting, which does come under the purview of the commission. And I don't see how you could say cutting down 300 mature trees with their shade and replacing them with smaller trees that will have to grow to those heights wouldn't have an effect potentially on the river. Once again, it's not our burden to show that there is. It's our burden to show that, excuse me, it's the applicant's burden to show that there is not. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Combe?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
At the second meeting, when the original apartment building was proposed, a member of the commission, I believe it's the gentleman who may or may not be a landscape architect, asked Mr. Lambert how many footings would be holding up the apartment building and how deep they would be dug to hold up the apartment building. I would like to ask that question again for these townhouses. How far into the ground are you digging? Because the groundwater is at 16 feet. The water, as the hydrologist testified at the last meeting, in the right-of-way is 1 foot down. But how far are you? You're removing 15,000 cubic yards of fill, which is approximately 9.2 acre feet of dirt. But how far down are you going to be digging, and how close to that groundwater are you going to be getting? I'm assuming you're getting very close if Mr. Lambert is saying that if they can, are going to route that to the spreader, which I didn't think was allowed under Trumbull regulations, but maybe this is going to be a new regulation. So I would like to know how far down into the ground they're going to be digging to hold up this building and how many fittings are going to hold it up. I believe the gentleman's name was David Verespi that originally asked that 2 meetings ago. And I don't know if he ever got an answer to that question. And what the nature and structure of the footings would be to hold up the building and how much they would weigh. So that's one of the points I wanted to bring in. And also, since the plans did change at 5 o'clock, 2 hours before the meeting, I do think you should extend the public the courtesy of being able to at least send in written responses and until you make your decision. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. All right. Bill, I'm assuming there's no one else?
That is correct.
All right, Attorney Bellis?
Yes, I guess I have 2 responses. One is I understand that the people don't want this project, but that's a zoning issue, and we have to go to zoning, and they can bring up those issues at zoning. I'm looking at this strictly from a wetlands perspective, and I go to these hearings throughout the state, and I'm very careful in what I say, and I use the case law because that's the only thing that I think a commission can go by. It's not what I say. It's what the courts say, and I'll just read the one sentence and I'll leave it at that. In Avalon Bay versus Inland Wetlands, I think it was Wilton, the court said, we conclude therefore that the act, that means the Inland Wetlands Act, protects the physical characteristics of wetlands and watercourses and not the wildlife, including wetland obligate species or biodiversity. So I keep hearing these comments about you haven't got this species test or you didn't apply to deep. I'm before the Inland Wetlands Commission of the town of Trumbull, and it's my job to present evidence to you that there will not be an adverse impact on those wetlands or the Mill River. That's my job here tonight. And I think I've made it clear that there's no specific harms that can be identified that will happen that will allow you to deny a permit. But that's the standard that the courts give. It's not my standard, but that's the law. So I think based on the law, that you should approve the application. That's my feeling. I have nothing else.
All right, David. You're muted, David.
Sorry. Attorney Bellis, there was an issue brought up with the wood turtles, and it's a threatened species or a species of concern, and a environmental or wildlife study needs to be done for that. That would hold true if this property had no wetlands on it or not. That would need to be completed prior to any of this stuff happening. Has that been completed? You have conceded that that species exists on the site, and therefore that study should be done and presented to this commission.
I think we had Matt Pop testify that he has followed the deep guidelines and put it on his notes that I think that were presented tonight on his landscape plan of the ways to protect those turtles, so that it talks about pre-construction, making a survey and having an expert, not me, an expert identify if there are any species there, and if they are, to protect them.
That should be done before any of this should be happening.
Yeah, that was done. Matt Pop has given you that.
But you just said that he has in his notes that that should be done.
No. If you look at the notes,
I haven't had a chance to see the notes because we don't have the plans.
There's a landscape plan.
We don't have that.
Well, I don't know whether you do or you don't. It was submitted, and he showed it to you, and he testified.
The landscape plan was presented on the screen tonight, and we didn't see the entire plan.
Yeah,
and we certainly could not read any notes or look at the details or anything in those regards.
Well,
I'm going to interrupt for just a moment. What Matthew said was he added it on to that plan that is submitted tonight. The prior, it did not have it. Go ahead.
That is true, Mr. Chair. That's what I was trying to suggest. It's on the plans. It's on the landscape plan that Matt Pop presented. You'll see a big thing about turtles.
But it isn't. It isn't a wildlife study, and it's not a wildlife survey. It's notes on a plan that should be done because there was a species of concern that was found. That it isn't the actual survey that was done.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you're asking me this.
I just think that's
when we're supposed to be talking about the physical characteristics of the wetlands, not of the species. That's the case I just read. I could read.
And as I said earlier, that work would have to be done whether this property even if this property had no wetlands on it at all.
I'm only here to discuss the effect of the wetlands with the Trumbull Commission. I'm not here to talk about deep or to talk about zoning or to talk about the Water Pollution Control Authority. I'm only here to discuss.
I'm not saying that you are. I'm saying
Yeah.
that if there is a species of concern that would limit the development on this property that is found on this property, whether it had wetlands or not, it would impact the development potential of this property. And that study should be done.
Well, I'm not saying it should or shouldn't, but that's not why I'm before you. I'm here to determine whether there's going to be an impact on the physical characteristics of the wetlands or the Mill River.
I understand that.
Okay. Yes, I'm not.
And you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I guess not.
I'm saying that something that should have been done that would supersede what you're doing has not been done.
No, that I don't agree with that. There's nothing that supersedes your jurisdiction over the
No,
wetland.
it would supersede it would be additional restrictions on the property beyond what the wetlands bring with them, because the environmental concerns for the species of concern are more extensive than the wetlands regulations.
Listen, I only know what your jurisdiction is. I only know what I have to present, as far as the information that you need to make your decision. I have to present different information to the WPCA. I present different information to the zoning commission. So things could come up, that may prevent the development of this property that I can't foresee at this time. I start with the Wetlands Commission.
Okay.
Steve, Matt Pop here. The wood turtles, they're species of special concern. They were documented by the DEEP Natural Diversity Database website. They're on their records. If I went out there and I didn't find wood turtles, and I did a 3-year study, and I was there every day, I think people would still say there's wood turtles there. So this is the same as like box turtles, another species of special concern. A lot of projects, they have them on the site, or they're documented on the site. I never see them. I go to the site several times, but we do the protocol, which are the notes on the plan. So it's, once something is documented by the DEEP, I think that we assume that they're there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be documented.
All right.
I understand that, but that would come with certain restrictions on the property to protect the habitat.
But in those restrictions, like in the past with like box turtles, the DEP, they require those notes to be put in and those procedures to be followed. And then I do have a scientific collector's permit to relocate turtles. So.
Okay, once we have the opportunity to review your plans in full, I guess I'll have to read those notes.
There'll probably be additional ones too, once the DEP looks at the plan, but they're, they're standard notes.
All right, we're good on that. Any comments from the commission? Go ahead, Carmine.
I have a problem and a concern between the statement Attorney Bella said about the case law and the Trumbull IWWC regulations, which are drawn from the state regulations. And in it, it states that this was in section 1.1, prevention loss of fish and other beneficial aquatic organisms, wildlife, and vegetation, and the destruction of the natural habitats thereof. So my not being a lawyer, attorney, I see that as a contradiction, that we do have authority over wildlife.
Yeah, I get your concern. So, and I don't want to lecture, so if I come across that way, you can cut me off. So, state law trumps municipal law. A town has no powers unless the state gives it to you. So the
Which
state
we have been
has,
granted.
Yes,
These regulations are the same ones you mentioned in section 22A of the state regulations.
yeah. So if you look at those step 22A, which is broad, but if you look at section 22A 41, and I'll read section D to you. I'm just going to read it. So these aren't my words, okay? A municipal inland wetlands agency shall not deny or condition an application for a regulated activity in an area outside wetlands or watercourses. And that's where we are, right? We're outside the wetlands or watercourses. On the basis of an impact or effect on aquatic, plant, or animal life, unless such activity will likely impact or affect the physical characteristics of such wetlands or watercourses. That's the state statute that I was referring to. They don't, listen, I know you're looking at me like, they don't write very clearly, but that's the law that we're given. And that is 22A-41 in parentheses D. That's what I was reading.
Well, I'm reading one in those same state regulations. I can't find what section it's in, but it says that, and I just lost it.
22A-36, I believe, or 38. 36 refers to the environmental forms of animal, aquatic life, and plant life.
Yeah, so the courts have said, sure, you can look at that, but it has to affect, and I don't know how it can in my own mind, but it has to affect the physical characteristics of the wetlands or the river, or in this case, the Mill River itself. So I guess, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a situation where it would be applicable.
It also references surface and underground water.
Yeah, I'm trying to answer the gentleman's questions about the wildlife species. Listen, I think that there's something that you should look at. There's no doubt about it. But the question is not, the question as I've always understood it, it's not how this project will impact on the wildlife species. That's not the question. The question is, how will the construction activity impact on the river or the wetlands? And you can look at the wildlife, but that's the question is, how does it impact the physical? They keep using the words physical characteristics of the wetlands and the river. That's what the cases do. So is there going to be a physical impact on, are we changing the river? Are we doing something where the rivers used to go straight and then we put a dam in it or dam something up and now it's going to turn left? That would be a physical change of the river. Are we doing something where the wetlands used to be here and now they're going to be here? Because you've put a building there. No, we're not doing that. That's why I'm having a hard time with this case. We're not even putting a building in the upland review area. There's nothing other than a retaining wall and then a level spreader in the upland review area, which is permitted. You just have to look at it. But we're not doing anything that's going to harm those wetlands, and we're not going to do anything that's going to harm the Mill River.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
If any of the commissioners have other questions on,
Yeah, I do right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Loria.
Yeah, you said there's nothing that we can do to harm the environment, but if let's say for the snow, for example, we put salt down on there, we dump the salted snow, it runs down the hill, and it adds to saline concentration that's inside the Farm Mill River. And it's not good for the fish. So there are things that can be done on this site that could adversely affect the river itself.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's why I think I said to you, if there's any conditions of approval that would ensure that things like you just suggested, sir, don't happen. And uh, for one, just to answer your question, I have seen where other towns have said you can't use salt to de-ice the parking lot area. And you say, well, what can you use? And I think that I don't remember, there's some kind of beet derivative that the landscapers use. There's other, yeah, I'm not sure. Rich,
Like
you know what it
the
is? I'm not really
safe
sure.
laws, like they use for
Yeah.
homeowners to buy for the in the melt the ice, but it's safe for the cats to walk on and stuff. It may be something
Yeah,
like
there's
it's more
other,
expensive than salt, though.
yeah. No, I understand that, but expense shouldn't be the factor. If there's if there's a condition of approval that no salt is used on this project for de-icing the parking lot, I don't have a problem with that because I understand how, like you just said, that could theoretically impact the river or wetlands. So that is certainly a condition of an approval that I have no problem with, and I've seen it done before. So, and if there's anything else you can think of, you should put it in as a condition of approval. I'm not objecting to that. But our goal is the same as yours. We do not want to harm those wetlands or that river. That's the last thing they want to do. So if there's things that you know of that I haven't thought of, I have no problem you adding it as a condition of your approval. None whatsoever.
All right, so we can get through the evening here. Any other comments?
Through the chair.
Go ahead. Rich, go ahead.
Thank you. Obviously we're reviewing 22A, 41A, and it mentions, I'm reading a review of it here. It says the key word in this amendment is in as opposed to near, and that's understood. But there's also another issue that I feel we haven't really touched upon today, and it was the question, and perhaps this is better for a work session, but I'll bring it up now just in case. The question of whether or not that intermittent water course exists and in what time period in the season that it could reasonably be determined whether or not that exists. There's 2 feet of snow out there, and we also know that there was a significant drought or near drought conditions, whatever the official term is. Perhaps it was not an official NWS drought, but certainly there was low rain totals in the last couple of years. We've spoken about various other matters, but perhaps somebody from town staff could address the situation of the intermittent water course, potential intermittent water course, and what possibilities could be taken there, because council has already advised us that they don't want to have additional time, whether it's for the public hearing or for the determination of this potential water course. But it could be the opinion of staff and commissioners that that individual criterion would be the potentially the most important part of whether or not this project moves forward. Because if there's a water course going through, then obviously that's a serious problem. If there isn't, well, there's an issue that we don't have to worry about again. But with this constructed time restraints that we have, it puts us in a position where no one wins. And hopefully somebody can address that issue. What is the path that this commission should take in regards to potential intermittent water course? Because either way we move forward, there's potential issues. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On your comment, Rich, the hydrologist from the last meeting, yeah, he went one way, and then they had several soil scientists on the applicant side that said it has no effect. So I don't know, we're sort of in a gray area. John, you had a comment?
You know, the intermittent water course itself is coming from the street itself. It's coming out of the catch basin and it's pouring across and sheeting it across the property itself and causing that ditch. Now we can see sometimes it must be very heavy looking at the scouring. So the solution that they've come up with, Rich, is they're going to pipe it along the front of the property next to the big high 30-foot wall now and dump it into and a retaining area itself, a rain garden itself, and then it's going to overflow, and then it's going to end up on the spreader. So I think the whole thing about the intermittent water course is a no-brainer now that's been piped around, but I may be wrong, but that's my impression.
So,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we're kind of digressing into a work session at this point, and I would advise the commission to not do that.
All right.
Fair enough. That's
All
all.
right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rich. All right, you want to sum up, Attorney Bellis?
No, I think I've summed up. You know where I
right.
stand. If yeah, if there's a question, I'm not avoiding anybody. Go ahead, Mr. Loria.
Unmute you.
You're muted, John. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. I think we should take a vote to see if we want to close the meeting at the public hearing.
We have a choice. We're out of time, John. And by state statute, they can't extend longer than, what we have. It'd be nice to have another.
How many
3
more
weeks,
days do
4
we have?
weeks.
Well, I know we'd have to public notice it, so how long would it take?
We've got 4 days. That's it. So.
This puts us at a very uncomfortable position.
Yeah, it does. It
Public
really
hearing
does.
when we have not had the opportunity to review the plans or being asked to vote on, and the public has not had an opportunity to review the plans that were being asked to vote on.
All right.
If these changes were very minor and the public had seen the 28 units already and some plan, then maybe they could have, but they haven't even seen that. I think the last plan they seen was an apartment building. So I have a little.
None of this information is available.
I don't know if that's true, Mr. Loria, because I remember presenting the condominium plan at the January 13th meeting. And so I went over it at length. And the commission asked me to go back and give more details on the storm drainage and to have that by this meeting. That's what you said to us.
Those plans are not in the public record available through the town website portal. So if I'm a resident of the town of Trumbull and I go looking for this plan,
I don't know why
it's not there.
is. Yeah, I don't.
And that is a disservice to the residents of the town of Trumbull.
I can't comment on that, sir. Because I don't get to upload them.
Well, they were only sent out. They were sent out at 4:40 and after 5.
Oh, that's the most recent. Yeah, I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
And that's what we're being asked to act on.
Well, the plans that Mr. Loria.
That's what we're being asked to act on. And the public has not had a chance to review them, and we have not had a chance to review them.
I get that.
You showed us snippets of the plans tonight, zooming around here and there.
Yeah.
We didn't get to read the turtle notes. I couldn't even see the plant list. There were codes on the plant list that I'm like,
I'm not asking you to decide the case tonight. We're just closing the hearing. You have 35 days, and I've given you an extension for that. The
public deserves that right also.
Mr. Respi, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
If I may. So, Mr. Respi, your point's been made. And we appreciate that. We're up against a statutory timeline within which we have to close the public hearing. So those are the guidelines we are, and the extension has been granted. So as much as the commission would like to do that, the applicant has requested the closing of the public hearing because we would be past the time. If it would be different if there was an allowance for an additional time, but that's the case. The commission will have 35 days to review the application, and the points you have made are something that can be considered by the commission in their deliberations. I hope that was helpful.
Question for Jim.
Go ahead, John.
What would be the ramifications if we denied the project tonight without prejudice and asked the applicant to open it up again next month? We'd have some more time.
Well, when we go into work session, we'll be talking about that. Thanks.
Well,
the applicant could withdraw, we could deny without prejudice, we can approve, but that's
Yeah, it's
for the
not like
work
we're trying to
session.
scum the whole project here. I just think
Right.
we need a little more time.
Now, I do know that Attorney Cordone looked into seeing if there was any possible way of extending, and state statute, there's, I think, what was your terminology? There's nothing on record that has ever allowed this. So our backs are against the wall, unfortunately. So, Carmine, I saw your hand up. Go ahead.
Just wanted to mention that, again, per our regulations, the applicant was to supply 7 copies of all data to the staff. And Tatiana said she never received it. This is going back to January 13th.
Through the chair, there is one member of the public that has their hand raised. I believe.
I think we're past that point, Attorney Cordone.
Oh, 2
We
actually.
never did officially close it.
Not close, but I'm saying the public says, what are your thoughts? Do we go to that and then we'll try to close out
Mr.
the
Chairman,
meeting?
as you know, the practice is that this is not an open dialogue, right? This is a public hearing, so people are able to present their statements in writing, to give their statements. I believe individuals have spoken multiple times this evening. It's up to the chair if he desires to have any other individuals speak again.
All right. And who was it that wanted to speak?
There were 2 raised hands, one from Judith de Graffenried and Gina Cosgrove. I'm not sure if both.
We've already had both of them tonight, so. All right. Is there anything else?
Mr.
Go
King?
ahead, Rich. Go ahead.
Does it hurt to, maybe cap it after that, let the last 2 go?
All right. And
Fine.
then if
That's
the
fine,
other
Mr.
one
Chairman.
goes in, let's go for it. Bring him on there, Mr. Chin. Okay, I see Ms. Cosgrove, and I would ask, please don't repeat what's already been said.
Not going to repeat. James, not Gina.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
FYI. 2 Plumtree Lane. My wife is sitting here next to me. I'm using her iPad. The town attorney seems fixated on this deadline that can't be superseded. My question is, Zoom meeting, very quick. You have 4 days left. Why not have another Zoom meeting in 4 days where you can make all these plans available to the public so they can look at them? I feel like that the developer and his minions have been deliberately delaying producing documents with the intention of not letting people see exactly what's happening. I feel like it's incumbent on the commission to let the public have one last shot at this, because like I said, every meeting we go to, every meeting we hear, oh, we don't have it. Oh, we submit. Oh, I don't know why I couldn't submit. I couldn't submit it. I don't understand. Why can't I give it to you? It's ridiculous. I mean, I can't believe you guys even tolerated it. You've had so many requests for documents, and every time you don't have them. And to close the public hearing without having people being able to see, including yourselves, by the way, what is being proposed is just ridiculous. So that's my request. Why not have another public meeting in 4 days? Thank you.
Or we could hold the public hearing open till then, but it might allow. I'll have to talk to our attorney in a moment.
Thank you.
Mr. Graff?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, and again, I would ask, please don't repeat what's already been said.
Totally new. Actually, I'm asking for information. First of all, I forgot to mention before that I'm a pending intervener for this development. I have a couple of questions for Attorney Bellis. This is information seeking. One, does case law preempt the Connecticut Environmental Protection Act? And my second question for the attorney is, do state statutes preempt local zoning? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Attorney Cordone, on the question of the intervener, I don't think that's the case, right? She didn't meet the
Yeah,
criteria, if I remember right.
there is documentation that's been submitted, and there needs to be a verified pleading with a sworn statement as to the facts alleged. And according to the Connecticut practice book and case law, it does not meet the standard of a verified complaint. In a future proceeding, that could be corrected. So that's the status of the intervener application.
Okay, but I'm saying she hasn't been recognized as an actual intervener.
You have to have a verified complaint, correct?
Right. All right, well, let me put it to the commission this. We could keep the public hearing open until Friday the 30th and vote that we close it as of then. And any materials that can come in from the public, and then they would be able to view it. But as far as another meeting, I don't see the purpose, because we've got our hands full right now, just trying to sort through everything that's been submitted and what will be submitted. Because again, what came in on at 4:40 today and at 5 something, we haven't seen it. So I'm not going to say let's do another one in 3 days, 4 days, because for the record, most of us have jobs. We're all working, and we're volunteers, and I take this seriously. But to try to jam this in and do another meeting, I don't think that's going to work for us. So what are your thoughts on that, Attorney Cordon? We could vote on it, that we could close the public hearing and allow them to submit, or what are your thoughts?
So the deadline is relevant because my job is to make sure that whatever this commission decides, we can defend it in court. And so I would need the applicant's consent to keep the hearing open. We have to close it within the next, I think it'd be Friday if I have my accurate account. But that's up to the applicant and Attorney Bellis. If you want to have the hearing closed tonight, you can state that. If you want to keep it open for resident comment, I suppose we can allow letters if you would consent to that up to a certain date. But that wouldn't give you an opportunity to respond. I'm not quite sure how we would do that by just having correspondence. I don't think we really could do that, to be honest with you, but That's up to you, Mr. What's your thoughts on that, Counselor?
Yeah, it's hard. I get it. I'm not asking the commission to have another hearing. I don't think that's fair to you guys. I don't know what would come in other than what we've heard tonight. That it sounds like the public has made these comments over and over and over. So I'm not sure there'd be anything different. I don't know. I listen, I'm flexible. Whatever's going to help you, I don't mind doing. I don't know how we can just let letters in, Jim. I'm talking out loud. I just don't know how. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that.
No.
So the question is, would you consent to an extension of time for the commission to continue the hearing for another, on Thursday afternoon, perhaps, or?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I don't want you to think I'm being obstructionist. I really take offense to some of these people saying that, that we submit things and are trying to hide things. I'm 66 years old. I have 100 cases. I do my best to prepare each case. I've been doing it for 40 years. I'm not trying to fool anybody. I'll do my best to help you. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do.
Well, Attorney Cordon, if we did this for Friday, it would give the public at least time to be able to view as to what they can do. As again,
Mr.
as
Chair,
of that time, it would prevent them from being able to submit letters or anything after that. So
I am getting on a flight to Florida, Mr. Chairman, on Friday at 3:30. So I won't be available for a couple hours because I'll be on an airplane. But
I'm not saying a meeting. I'm just saying whether it'd be feasible to keep the public hearing opened so that this would allow the public to providing we did get all these plans, we can put them online. We can have them in the office for the public to come in and view.
Okay.
Right now, like I said, we haven't even viewed them,
Yeah,
so.
I have no problem with that. I just don't know what would, yeah, I have no problem with that, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know how to keep a hearing open without having another meeting and closing that hearing. So if you're,
Then we're close, no, I'm not gonna do that to the commission again, so.
okay.
All right,
Through the
All right.
chair.
all right, Greg, I'm gonna ask you to make a,
Tatiana's asking, Mr.
go ahead,
Chairman.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Todd.
There's another raised hand, and I don't believe we've heard from that.
I think it's time to stop at this point.
All right. Sorry. Greg, can you make a motion to close the public hearing, please?
Yes.
For application 25-25.
Right. I make a motion to close application 2525 15 Plum Tree LLC, a permit to construct a three-story apartment building or townhouses at five.
It's as it's written, the three-story, apartment building.
Three-story apartment building and 9 attached townhouses, a retaining wall, subsurface stormwater detention system, level spreader, sidewalks and storm drainage within a regulated area at 5 and 15 Plum Tree Lane. I make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, Bob Ferrigno seconds it. Okay, I'm a yes. Carmine?
I'm a no.
Greg?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Let me see who I'm going to. Deacon?
Nope.
David?
Nope.
John?
Nope.
So what do we do?
Mr. Chairman, we have to schedule another meeting prior to the end of the 4 days.
So do you want to do another meeting on
We don't
Friday?
have a choice. It's my recommendation that if you don't close the public hearing, we have to close the public hearing within the next 4 days under state law.
Well, look, I'm not a hard-hearted person, but I'm saying, what will we accomplish? We're gonna have to meet again. Same thing is gonna be there.
I'll change my vote to yes.
So that would give us a 4-3. So it would pass. Thank you, David. All right. I move to adjourn. We will see you on February 3rd. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.